Morning everybody, I'm Sarah Bramwell. I'm head of IVR and Telephony for the TalkTalk group in the UK and most recently head of CRM. I'm very conscious, I'm here today to talk to you about our transformational journey and how as an organisation the journey we went on to revolutionise the customer experience. But I'm very conscious that some of you probably aren't aware of who TalkTalk is, with it being a UK telco. So just a few facts to talk around who we are. So we're a leading brand, value brand of telco in the UK. We have 4 million customers and we're a quad-play provider. We provide fixed line, broadband, mobile and TV products. We have a UK core operations base, and we have a global contact centre estate across the Philippines, India and South Africa, and we have 4,500 agents. To put our journey into context, I do need to give a bit of a history around TalkTalk and where we began. So we were part of the Carphone Warehouse Group in the UK and formed TalkTalk in 2002. We offered free calls to UK customers in 2004, and we revolutionised the broadband market by introducing free broadband to our UK customers. Then we started to build up our customer base by acquiring a number of different companies. We acquired AOL UK, Tiscali, and then in 2010 we demerged from Carphone Warehouse. Then we launched a TV product, and in 2014 we had 1 million TV customers. Then we moved to introduce a mobile product. So going through that journey, you can see that as we built our customer base and we acquired a number of different companies, our policies and process and systems became quite desperate, and it really caused some impacts to our customer experience. We had quite a challenge with poor customer experience. So we've been on quite a journey to transform the customer experience. So we consolidated our billing platform. We moved from 5 billing platforms to 2 and addressed some of our root causes around our policies and processes. And then we moved to rationalise our contact centre estate. We went from 26 contact centres globally down to 3, and we moved to one single telephony platform where we had 3 different vendors. All these simplifications started our journey to try and, to move towards simplifying our customer experience. As a result of that, we started to look at self-service and introducing automation in the IVR, building out our online presence, introducing mobile app, and introducing live chat. I'm a firm believer in there is 3 areas in the customer journey. So what do our customers want? Who are they? And let's get them to the right place first time. So by simplifying all our contact centre estate, this moved us into how do we introduce a more robust automated solution contact strategy in the voice channel. And that led us on to natural language call steering. We introduced natural language call steering in 2013. It was a really successful deployment. We had a recognition rate of 95%, but it allowed us to start to drive the right action at the right time, making sure that we could personalise and create a smart interaction for the customer and providing automation that was specific and personalised to them. So we started to build out our automated journey. So we did have some of the automation in our IVR service prior to natural language call steering, but as you're probably all aware, from a DTMF IVR, it's very difficult for a customer to navigate so that you actually do get them to get to the right action, right time, without the complex journey that they have to go to. So what we started to do was use, because we have our own telco next generation network, we identify a customer through their CLI. That allows us to identify the customer, and then seamlessly we can understand from our systems where they are in the customer journey and provide different levels of self-service or automation to give them the information that they require. So as you can see from the journey, if you go around the wheel to the right-hand side, we have a self-serve automation called Order Check. So that's where a customer can, if they're in the early life cycle of the journey, we can proactively advise whether their order is live, whether it's delayed, and what services are live at what point in time. Then we have a service called Oscar. So you can see from the diagram, we've got Oscar and Ernie, they're Sesame Street characters. The reason for that is that they're all linked to a system called BERT. So within TalkTalk, everybody's aware of what these services do. Oscar is our fault management IVR service. So if a customer has got a unique singleton fault, we can send them through a series of steps to get their fault resolved. We can raise a ticket within the service, and then we can proactively SMS the customer to give them updates on where their fault is and when it will be resolved. We have deflection messages to online where appropriate as an educational message to inform customers that there may be easier options within different channels. And we have voice appointing, so if they do need to have an engineer that comes out to their house to fix a fault, they can actually go into the service and book an appropriate appointment for them at their convenience. We have mobile payments for customers, obviously, who want to pay their mobile bill. And then we have FAQ. So FAQ is, from having natural language call steering, has really helped us to drive a guided, automated self-serve approach for a customer. And it's very much linked to the Oscar service. So from a diagnostic perspective, the customer can guide themselves through a series of steps to actually have their fault resolved. But it is smart and intelligent enough to know whether a customer has a problem with their router or something in their home setup, and we can actually proactively send a command to the router and reboot, subsequently resolving the fault there and then whilst they're actually in that journey. Then we come to Ernie. Ernie is our incident management IVR. So as a customer, if they contact us, we are aware from them, their CLI if they have a given outage within their area. And again, we'll provide an update on what that outage is, and we will proactively provide information as to when the engineer is fixing that and when it will be resolved. Username and password. We have the ability to understand whether a customer's got an open fault ticket or an open complaint, and we can intelligently route or provide information on that ticket. And then activation of SIMs and account balance and payment. So just wanted to go through, some of the automation that we have developed within our services, and with natural language call steering has helped us make it a personalised journey. Ownership of the customer and the experience is absolutely key to a transformational programme. And within TalkTalk, we're continuously ongoing on a transformational programme with customer at the heart, front and centre to everything that we do. It's really important that when we look at the customer experience and we look at automation, that we really understand whether that automation is suitable for the customer and the channel that the customer is going to go through. Just because maybe your business strategy is to reduce contact, reduce cost, that doesn't mean that you need to create automation in every channel or build automation that's not necessary for the customer, because they won't use it. The customer wants something that's easy and simple for them to use, so that they actually get their query resolved or go through to the right agent or service first time. They want low effort. We're all busy people. We don't want to be tirelessly navigating services and trying to work through how do we actually resolve the problem. And people do fall into the trap of putting the ownership on the customer when actually we want to take that away and make it easy for them. We want to make sure that we have intelligent interactions. And going forward, we're not there quite yet, is to ensure that we're not just multi-channel, we're omni-channel. So if a customer goes through one channel and maybe hops to the other, we know what you've done. And we can make sure we resolve that for you. And have a unique branded experience. So as you can see, we've built out quite a lot of automation, we've simplified our processes. But we've taken it as far as we could go. We only had the ability to ID a customer, but we hadn't, in the IVR, in terms of automation, any method to authenticate, which started to... we struggled then to obviously build out more automation capabilities because we needed that authentication. So that led us to voice biometrics. So I say we're ahead of the game. We are the first UK telco to introduce voice biometrics to our UK customers. And why did we do voice biometrics? So as I said previously, we wanted to increase intelligent automation. We wanted to reduce the customer effort, no more passwords and PINs, reduce call handling, improve confidence in security, and look at how we created an omni-channel solution. So we went from a marathon to a sprint. Just before I go on to the details of the sign-off, etc., because we had such a good deployment of natural language call steering, when I was working through the stakeholders and the ExCo regarding our contact strategy, my objective was that we wanted to get natural language call steering into the business with a view that next should be the voice biometrics. And because of the results spoke for themselves and we got confidence with the business, it was easier to get engagement to actually then provide a new authentication solution within our organisation. So in winter 2014, we revised the business case and got the sign-off, and then we worked through the technical design and delivery. And in January 2016, we did a proof of concept. So the proof of concept consisted of an 8-week trial with a number of agents who would enrol and verify using vocal password. And then from the results of the proof of concept, we went into a full launch in March 2016. Going forward, I will go through the results of the proof of concept. But firstly, I just want to play a short video in terms of how and what TalkSafe, which is our voice biometrics solution, is at TalkTalk.
From now on, calling TalkTalk will be much quicker and simpler. Because your voice is unique, we can use it to quickly check your identity whenever you call. We call this TalkSafe, and here's how it works. Next time you call, we'll ask if you'd like to be set up for TalkSafe. We'll then record you saying a simple phrase 3 times to capture your voice print. That's your setup done. After that, each time you call us, you just say, with TalkSafe, my voice is my password, and this is instantly checked against your voice print. We can then get straight to why you called. And if you're transferred to another advisor, there's no need for a second check. We'll never call you to record your voice. We'll only do it when you call us and after a security check. It's smart technology that saves you time and hassle every time you call. TalkTalk, TV, broadband, mobile and phone.
So hopefully that gives you a bit of a taster around how we've introduced voice biometrics and used it as a brand differentiator with using the brand TalkSafe. So I'll just talk you through some of the results of what we achieved in the proof of concept. So we had an adoption rate of 85%. We had successful enrolments of 84%, subsequent call verifications by TalkSafe of 95%. It takes time to authenticate was 12 seconds. And we achieved an agent handling reduction of 1 minute per call. So from then the proof of concept, as you could see previously on the last slide, led us to full launch. So what have we seen since we launched voice biometrics TalkSafe? So we launched in March this year. We've currently had over 500,000 customers enrolled in the solution. We've had 600,000 customers verified. We've had 29 million less seconds that customers have spent on the phone as a direct result. But ultimately, what else have we seen with the solution? So it does provide an enriched customer and agent conversation. So we've introduced, because we have natural language, we've linked it to our CRM platform. So when a customer actually ends up speaking to an agent, the agent knows who the customer is, what their intent was, what was their reason for their call, and whether they've been authenticated, so that they can go straight into how do they resolve that customer's problem. So customers and agents love the solution. It's also a huge enabler, as I said right at the beginning of the presentation, for us to start to go on our second part of the journey in terms of enabling more self-serve that requires authentication. It has improved confidence in security. We are on track to achieve our ROI on the business case, and it's improved our agents and customer satisfaction. As I said, we are the first UK telco to introduce voice biometrics, and we had some really positive press around the solution. That's just a few clips that were put across the media in terms of our rollout of voice biometrics. So why have our deployments been a success? Technology, as you've heard over the conference, works. We reviewed what were the technologies that we wanted to use in our business, and we know that the technology works. The successful part of a deployment, though, is how you implement it and how you engage with your stakeholders and the teams that are actually going to deliver that product. And it is all around the collaboration and engagement and passion of your people and your teams to actually make something a success. So we ensured that we had collaborative working with Nuance, who are our strategic partner, and we agreed joint KPIs in terms of what we wanted to look for as we deployed natural language and voice biometrics. It was key to us that we did a proof of concept. We needed to review and understand the impacts to the customer and the business. And from that, it helped us to refine and understand the lessons that we learnt from the proof of concept to make sure that we had a successful deployment. Engagement with all business units. So that's from your director exco level, your security teams, your training teams, your operational leads, down to your agents. Everybody needs to go on the journey with you and get bought into what you're trying to achieve as a business. We have a concept at TalkTalk. I introduced Innovation School, which is basically for any new program that we have within TalkTalk, that we have agents who are involved in that process. So they're selected to join Innovation School, and effectively it's an agile lab whereby they can feed back constantly on what they think is happening in terms of the interaction with the customer and the new solution. Any issues that they're seeing, they're reported back straight away so that we can refine that. And it's just a really good service to ensure that everybody's involved and that you don't miss anything because you're in the detail. You've got a wider pool of people working with you to give that feedback. And it's just passion to deliver the right solution for the customer. Yes, we needed at TalkTalk a better way to authenticate a customer. It was quite a tedious process when you got through to an agent with layers and layers of security. But it was frustrating for the agent and the customer who had to go through that process. So what could we do that made the process for an agent and a customer better if they had to contact us? So what next? So back to the slide. Customer experience doesn't stop by just deploying certain solutions. It's an evolving process. So I've talked today around what we've actually achieved in the voice channel and down to agent level. But how do we make sure that that's consistent against all channels? Making sure that we open up our channels so that customers have a choice of the way they contact our organisation, and that we actually provide solutions and services that are applicable to them, that they're personalised, and as I stated before, if they choose one channel and they hop to another, we know what that customer's done and what process they've gone through. So we are on a journey. It doesn't stop there. We're starting to develop a roadmap of automation that requires the authentication. We are looking at virtual assistants, and we are looking at how we make sure that our CRM system is the brain that actually has a consistent process and policy across all the different channels. So we're just on the first steps of the journey, but it is quite an exciting one. Thank you.
Quick question on whether you are considering the recognition of this individual as they come in to interact with you as also being consent when they want to make some changes, for example, to a plan or something like that? Or do you ask for additional information?
So currently, we don't have transactional changes within the IVR. That's our next step of the journey. From an enrolment perspective for voice biometrics, it is vocal password, so it is actually done with the agent, as you saw on the video. We do an assumptive enrolment, so we don't pressurise an customer to enrol into the solution. It is their choice, but the selling points are there to actually why it will benefit them. When we did the proof of concept and somebody had enrolled and they were going through the service and they'd been verified, we did do additional security to offer confidence. We need to understand what that looks like as we actually build out, further transactional solutions with voice biometrics.
I was wondering if you could possibly talk a little bit about the 592 intents that you said you had defined, the process by which you define those, and more importantly, perhaps the process by which you keep those up to date and refine them over time?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we introduced, so as we got the sign-off for natural language call steering, what you do to actually define your intents is a series of workshops with different stakeholders and nuance. The first step in that journey is to capture actual live utterances of customers in terms of what their intention was. So what we did was we actually captured live customers, recorded their intent and then sent them back through, the normal BAU journey. We captured 30,000 utterances and each utterance is transcribed. And then you go through a series of workshops over a number of weeks with your process owners, your policy teams, your operational heads, and the agents to work through what does that mean and what do we want to do with that. So do we want to group that into an intent? Do we want to route that to a certain campaign? Do we want to route it to self-service? So that's the process that you get to that then generates your intents. To ensure that you keep up to date with all the intents that you have, or whether you want to reduce them or increase them, you go through regular tuning exercises. It's like anything. You can't just deploy something and leave it. You do need to regularly train and tune and make sure it's optimised to the best solution it can be. So we tune our service twice a year to ensure that what customers are saying and the intents still match, that it's fit for purpose. We are working through now how we do smaller tuning exercises every quarter because we're a really fast-paced business and things change with new products. So how can we make sure that we actually do it more than twice a year and we just do smaller tunes? Thanks.
So originally I wanted to ask you about some of the algorithms and the technologies that you assess, but that probably wouldn't be of interest to the other members of this crowd. But I do have one question about the innovation school, the involvement of the agents in the process. How exactly does that work? I mean, when did the agents get involved and how did that impact your deployment process?
So the agents were involved actually from the offset. As soon as we knew that we had sign-off and voice biometrics was something that we were going to introduce, there were quite a big PR campaign within the organisation in terms of we have our own intranet, so talking about what we were going to do and why we were doing it. So that's where the journey started, so that they're involved in what we are doing as a business. Then from an innovation school perspective, we have telepresence, and we have operational leads who are offshore. So I'm not sure whether I did mention it in the slides, 99% of our operation is outsourced across the global estate. So they're not in the agents are not in the UK, so there's a lot of planning that needs to be done in terms of an innovation school. And what we did was we got a selection of agents from various campaigns, so that whether it's tech support or customer service and billing, loyalty, and there'll be probably about 24 agents in any given innovation school at any one time. And the mechanism is to basically set up telepresence and regular sessions to show them a product or a solution, get their feedback and questions, and they're the people who will actually start to test that solution prior to it going live. And once it goes live, they'll be the people who you literally specifically liaise with in terms of understanding what's going well, where there's some challenges, and the good thing is, don't underestimate your business. We established the product works, but we did establish through the innovation schools that we did have quite some challenges with our underlying infrastructure that had never been surfaced before. So it started to surface a lot of challenges in terms of different adherences to different processes, solutions and infrastructure that weren't right, but it had never been called out. So as we've launched Innovation School and these different solutions, we've actually been able to start to rectify some of the challenges that we'd never really understood before.
I know kind of early.
Mark, hold on.
The implementation is still kind of fresh, but I mean, do you have any sense of impact on churn rates? I know that's a multivariate problem, but do you feel like that might be beneficial? Customer churn.
Yeah. I don't have a feel for that from a voice biometrics perspective at present. It's very difficult to gauge that. But absolutely, if you start to look at the customer experience and not necessarily focus on reduction in CHT, but looking at engagement, looking at how that experience is impacted, ultimately results in loyalty from customers. They get their issue resolved quicker. It's an easier interaction. So I'm hopeful that we'll see an absolute reduction in churn. We definitely saw a reduction in churn from natural language call steering. Just the ability that we were routing customers to the right place first time. If a customer specified an intent to leave or I want to cancel, and they went specifically straight to our loyalty campaigns, they were the customers who were really, really not very happy. And they were the ones that were the difficult people to save and retain. But you were splitting the calls in terms of somebody who just wanted a better offer to somebody who had a genuine complaint. So that really helped us manage churn. It is. Again, it is challenging. The CSAT, I couldn't comment on the NPS. The CSAT score has gone up 2%. We do have surveys as well, feedback surveys within the IVR, in terms of their experience of the journey. We have to be very careful, because if they subsequently spoke to an agent or they've been transferred, it can get grey in terms of their perception. But I can say in terms of some of our automation and voice biometrics, we've had some really positive tweets. So people actually have tweeted around, contacted TalkTalk, the experience is amazing, which to me makes me feel really proud, because usually if somebody has a good experience, they have a good experience. They don't really shout about it. But we have had, quite a number of people who've just tweeted shared information. So that's been good.
Well, thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.